Today presents Strike Battleship Argent, Book 1 in the Starships at War series, by Shane Lachlan Black. Copyright 2016.
The Exeter, of course, had all the necessary security overrides, as it was a Skywatch ship attempting to re-establish contact with a Skywatch survey station. The docking systems aboard Station 19 authorized the approach of the two Marine shock platoons and set the bay doors to external control. The boats approached very quickly, only applying their counter-thrusters at a range of 200 meters for final approach. They fast locked into the station's approach control lanes, immediately overrode all the safety mechanisms and established magnetic contacts with the outside bay assemblies. 5 seconds later, both ships had soft locks with the station's hull. The doors breached, and twin platoons of power-armored Marines poured into the cargo bay, weapons raised, sweeping the field of fire. Captain Cleghorn was first to touch the deck. Not a word was spoken. A group of 10 streamed right. Another group rapidly covered the distance across the bay to the personnel hatches. Around them were various conveyor assemblies, overhead cranes, loaders, and pressurized containers. There was minimal light, but all of the Marines had fully equipped tack suits with independent helmet lights and a variety of range-finding options, including infrared, magnetic, and scatterband. Cleghorn caught movement in one corner of the largest open area and raised his weapon to advance. "Exeter Marines! Hands where I can see them!" A tentative burst of weapons fire answered. The sound of energy ricochets echoed in the huge bay. Another burst blasted pieces of the floor in all directions. Cleghorn dove to one side and grunted when his back hit the containers he was now using for cover. "Hostiles! Look sharp!" Light strobed as short bursts of energy fire were exchanged. Given the number of obstacles in the room, it wasn't surprising most of the shots hit inanimate objects rather than their targets. Cleghorn heard running footsteps and consulted his tactical map. 6 targets bearing 310. He scrambled back to his feet and ran to a vantage point behind the barrier of pressure containers. He arrived at the corner of the stack at exactly the right moment. "Hey!" One of the intruders turned and pointed his weapon, but it was too late. Boom! The twin slugs from Cleghorn's rail-assisted shotgun blew a foot-wide hole in the intruder's torso. Click-clack. He reloaded and moved up to a more aggressive vantage point just in time for one of the load frames to explode in dozens of mangled metal pieces overhead. Another blast of energy streamed past. Rapid-fire bolts sprayed across the open area in front of the captain. He waited patiently until the enemy power pack drained, then he exploded from cover like a lawman in an old West Prairie town. Boom! A cry of pain echoed. Click-clack. Boom! Click-clack. Boom! The third intruder's startled shout faded quickly. 3 shots, 3 neutralized intruders. Cleghorn marched forward, turning his weapon's barrel skyward and reaching into his bandolier for a slug pack. He reloaded. Click-clack. A moment later, another intruder emerged from cover with his weapon pointed the wrong way. He turned an instant too late. Boom! His left leg was vaporized by an exterminator slug. Click-clack. Boom! His gurgling scream was silenced. The flash of a much heavier weapon drove Cleghorn back into cover. The deck shook with explosions from overloaded concussion rounds. "Second squad, report." "Maximum of 8, sir. Retreating along a 215 and headed for the magneto lifts." "Affirmative. Secure your position and stand by." "Comms, what's the status on intrastation communications?" "Working on it, sir." "Work faster, son. I want to know where the hell the commander is, and I want to know right now." Chapter 42. Is he okay? Uh-huh. Echo was putting the finishing touches on Ensign Cliver's recovery. His condition was now medically stable by most criteria. "I'm glad," Butterfly said. "I wish we could talk to Lunar. I bet he's having so much fun on the big spaceship. It's been so long since I saw all my friends on Exeter." "We could talk to him if I could see the ship," Butterfly said. "Remember when we talked on the Lost that one time?" "Uh-huh. Rebel was being funny and yelling about stuff. He's always so serious." Commander Hunter was busy monitoring the EM situation with her handheld signals analysis unit, but somewhere in her subconscious she was also listening intently to Echo and Butterfly's conversation. Something had gotten her attention and she couldn't shake the feeling this was one conversation she should be part of. "Tom, listen," she whispered. Commander Huggins perked up and watched Jace Hunter's raised eyebrows as the two little mini-bots conversed. "Yeah, I remember that. When Rebel was running around and trying to hide from the laser net, he didn't know you were watching him from way up in the sky. That's why I could always find him when we play hide and seek. I think that's why AC gave him new engines and stuff, 'cause he was mad he couldn't win like before." "I don't get it," Huggins whispered. Hunter kept her voice low. "They're talking about lost communications, laser-assisted data networking. Same stuff Skywatch uses for their electronic warfare protocols." "Yeah, same stuff we use for battle conditions. Butterfly knows how to do lost communications, and so does Lunar." It hit Tom in an instant. "Lost can't be jammed. All we need now is a window." Commander Hunter crouched down by Lieutenant Sutherland. "How is she doing?" "Hi, AC," Echo chirped. "She's sleepy now, but everyone's all better." "Butterfly, do you remember how to do lost communications with the other minibots?" Hunter asked. "Yes, I do. It's really easy once you taught us how." "Do you think you could find a port on the opposite side of the station and talk to Lunar for me? And do you think you could relay communications from my designator to the Exeter Bridge?" "Yeah. If Lunar is out in space, I can see him and send him messages." "Then let's get started. I need you to fly back to where Rebel and Wave are and find the hatch Lunar used to leave the station. It will have a port in it. Use that port to establish lost contact with Lunar and set up a comnet with my designator and the Exeter Bridge." "Okay." "Can I go too?" Echo asked plaintively. "I need you to stay here and take care of my officers," Hunter replied with a smile. "You're doing a great job." "Ah," Echo whined. Then she turned to face the little helicopter. "I have to go," Butterfly said. "I know. Send me a message if you get in trouble and I'll come help you," Echo said. "Call me if you need help and I'll come help you too," Butterfly replied. The humans watched the two little mini-bots reassure each other with wonder in their eyes. It was very much like watching two best friends on moving day for one of them. Even through her drowsiness, Sutherland was certain they would have hugged each other goodbye if they could. Finally, Butterfly engaged her engines and brought her rotors to flight velocity. She rose quietly from the deck and pivoted towards the exit. Echo followed her to the door and watched her fly away. Then she rolled back to Lieutenant Sutherland's side and resumed monitoring the two wounded officers' vital signs. Hunter noted Echo had quietly activated her wide-spectrum monitoring antenna. She might not have been able to go with her friend, but she was now listening intently on more than 16,000 broadcast frequencies for Butterfly's designator. If the little helicopter shouted, Jace knew Echo would be there before the sound faded. Perhaps that's an even more apt description of the little robot's namesake, Hunter thought. She switched frequencies on her EM monitoring unit and waited for Butterfly's signal. Chapter 43. "We've got to get out in the open, Skipper," Colonel Moody said. "In a cramped space like this, we can't use any of our advanced weapons capabilities. Even a corridor is better than this airlock." "How many, Lieutenant?" Hunter asked as he helped one of the landing party Marines fix his environmental controls. "Now, more than 40 confirmed readings, sir," Zoni replied. "I estimate a new creature appears roughly once every 160 seconds. Yeely, what if we rigged the environmental controls to repressurize the ship with an atmosphere poisonous to the creatures?" Curtis shook her head. "That level of environmental control would take an hour to establish, and that's only if I can get to engineering." "I doubt we can fight our way that far down, sir, and even if we did, we could get pinned and not be able to get back to the bridge," Moo added.
The rest of the story is only one keyword away. Visit jumpline.click in your browser. New keywords are activated every day. Get access to our entire catalog of science fiction, fantasy, and gamelit.